LoreWarrior Online, KBO-7A, Kabuto. Overview. For many decades, the Draconis Combine Mustard Soldiery lacked mechs in the 20 to 35 ton category. During this time, Bushido, or the Way of the Warrior, and single mech-on-mech combat were considered the only honourable ways of fighting. Because most light mechs cannot stand toe-to-toe against larger mechs, light mechs had no place in the DCMS. The arrival of the clans changed all of this. Also believers in single combat, the clans had superior training and technology, with which they defeated the DCMS at almost every turn. Combine warriors could defeat clan opponents only by putting the honour of the Combine before each individual warrior's honour and using all available military assets in combination. The Combine made use of light mechs for fast recon, lightning raids and other attacks. New Combine light mech designs perfectly suited for these rediscovered tactics quickly made their way onto the field. The most recent addition is the Kabuto, named for the elaborate helmet of armour that encases the mech's head assembly. Capabilities. The Kabuto is patterned after the highly successful Hitman Battlemech design, the Hitman quickly becoming a mainstay of the DCMS, being exceptionally fast, armed with impressive firepower for a mech of its class, and loaded with specialised electronics. Even the Hitman's hefty price tag couldn't detract from its success on the field. Eager to repeat this success, the design teams at Battlemech yards were ready to begin field testing the Kabuto by late 3059. The thorough testing of the Hitman by the student mech warriors of the Sunjang Academy on New Samarkand had so impressed Battlemech yards that they arranged to test the Kabuto in the same fashion. In creating the Kabuto, Battlemech yards fulfilled this goal of developing a light mech with exceptional speed, armour, and firepower at a low price. With more firepower and armour than any other mech of its class and a top speed of well over 110 kph, the Kabuto is a prime example of superior DCMS design and manufacturing. Even the price tag, at just under 2.5 million C-bills, is a bargain considering this mech's battlefield performance. Deployment. The Kabuto has finished its testing, though it has yet to see combat. The DCMS have begun to issue the mech to units that lost light mechs during Operation Bulldog. A couple of issues with this personally, and I'm sure someone might be able to correct me, but let's go to the stats. It's a 20-tonner, its chassis is a Chariot Type 1A, with the power plant being a Linex 140 XL. Its cruise speed is 76 kph and a max speed of 119 kph with no jump jets. Its armour is Starshield A. It's armed with two Guided Technologies 2nd generation Streak 4 SRM launchers, manufactured by Battlemech yards, with their factory on Ozawa. Communication system is the Cypher Comcon SCU-4, and its targeting and tracking is Cat's Eye Mark V. This translates into a walk of 7, a run of 11. It has, again, 10 heat sinks, no doubles. It has 9 armour on the head, 9 on the CT with 3 on the rear, 8 on the right and left torso with 2 on the rear, and has 6 armour on the arms and 8 on the legs. Both of the missile launchers are located equally, one in the left and one in the right torso, with 25 shots spread between them, or basically it's a single ton of streak ammo. Odd looking mech, and is basically a Draconis Combine version of a Javelin, with higher guaranteed to hit. I'm not sure. Does everyone else agree with me on this? That some of the write-up in the overview about how there was no place for light mechs in the Draconis Combine, yet two of the most famous battle mechs in the Inner Sphere have got to be the Jenna and the Panther, both used almost exclusively by the Combine, and the Jenna was built by the Combine. Yes, I don't see many light mech pilots going up to an Atlas and challenging it to one-on-one honourable combat, but I do see a light mech pilot in the Combine challenging another light mech pilot to honourable one-on-one combat. So I don't see why that isn't a thing. It's a bit of a weird write-up there. And then suggesting that all of a sudden they had to redesign their tactics and the such. I know the Combine is supposed to be very kind of, if Japan regressed societally into this, like, samurai type at the height of their sort of societal and cultural power. But I really don't think all sense would leave them in modern combat. And indeed it doesn't, as far as I know. The Combine definitely were open to using many, many different tactics. It was just the honourable one-on-one fight was something that they would offer. It wasn't the only way that they battled, of course. That would be insane, and they would lose so many battles from people taking advantage of this, just like what happened with the clans early on. So, I don't know. I don't 100% agree with this write-up. And by that same logic, you would say that this mech would be dishonorable to use in any kind of combat scenario, because it being a pair of streaks, because, you know, you don't even... Basically, you just sit back and the computer does all the work for you. I like the mech build. I'm not a massive fan of the art. Again, I don't know what was going on here. It's got these weird legs, and... There might be other art of these, obviously. I'm just basing it on what I'm looking at here in TRO 3060, but... Yeah, it's not like the most eye-catching design, but stat-wise it's pretty good for 20 tons. It's got pretty decent movement speed, and it can definitely hurt when it hits, that's for sure. It's just not great. I don't think the write-up is very good for it, and I don't think the art is very good for it, unfortunately, but I can see... Again, it's another mech that is written specifically to be from a house, rather than it just being, you know, mech produced by big corporation. Big corporation sells it to everybody. Everyone's got it. This is a bit more localized. It's being deployed by a Curitan mech yard for Curitan forces. And, you know, there's something to say that it wouldn't go to mercenaries and such in the future, which it probably did. Probably by 3067 or whatever on the next write-up, you know, you could say that this thing has probably made its way around a few places at that point. Also, like piracy and such, probably nabbed a few, that kind of thing. But yeah, the sad thing is with technical write-up 3060 is some of the write-ups are very, very lackluster or very short. Unfortunately, this is one of those TROs that just kind of... It gave you the bare minimum, all this kind of setup with no payoff, because it's all supposed to be what's happening in this moment now, in this X date of 3060. This is what's been going on. These are what's coming, and I always like the ones that write up as if it was written and we're now looking at it a few years into its deployment, rather than the day that it came off the production line, because I don't think writers have as much to sort of write about with it, because they can't come up with any interesting battle scenarios that they were used in, or being able to tie them into certain events. It's just kind of, it's like this one, it's like, yeah, this place, they came up with a design and they thought it was really good, and they got it tested and the testing went well, and it's going to deploy soon. Does that help anybody? It doesn't give it any character. It doesn't give the mech any kind of interesting background or a narrative hook that you could use as a GM or any of those scenarios. Like these ones just feel like a Warhammer, like a Warhammer 40k post. It's just like new models, new units have been deployed. Is there any background? No, not really. They just got like, this is a new unit. It's got to just buy the models and put them on the table. That's what these feel like, unfortunately. But this is what happened with it. I don't know if these other mechs have ever got more of a write-up. As far as the Kabuto is concerned, it's definitely, again, something that I would use in a scenario where players may encounter the Draconis Combine on the border regions, or maybe encountering a Merc unit that might be under contract and testing these vehicles for Battlemech yards, or that even the players might end up gaining a contract, which is an interesting idea. So the players not only have to make sure that the test unit doesn't get completely obliterated, but they have to get combat data, and so that means that they have to use the mech actively in combat and send that information back to the employer, and then if the employer needs them to bring it in for any kind of refits or adjustments, then players are like, oh, okay, fine, they go travel back and that kind of thing. You could add some little, role-playing elements to that. So there's an interesting narrative hook there, but that's about as much as they've given you, unfortunately. Yeah, the mech looks like a droid from Star Wars, like a really sort of half-assed, not that interesting looking droid. But yeah, decent weapons. So there we go, the Kabuto. I've rambled on enough anyway. Have a good one, everybody. Thank you for listening, as always, have a good week, and I will see you in the next vehicle one, as far as my order of recording. So, yeah, have a good one. Bye.